Hello, welcome back to today's video. Today I wanted to talk about the idea of performance and performative activities as someone who engages in quite a few performative activities. Performative as in what we consider on social media to be performative. I wanted to actually do this video because I thought it'd be funny. I wanted to do this video while making a matcha and coming outside, which is where I usually read my book in the morning. I'm reading Jack Kerouac on the Road. I'm about 130 pages in out of 300, and I really love this book so far. I find that I love every book I read though, so not every book, a lot though. A lot of fiction. I only read, oh shoot, I forgot something. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Also in this video, I kind of wanted to explain how to make a very good matcha latte because it is something that I've been doing for about 8 or 9 months now, and it's something I've also I've gone through 7 cans, and it's something I really love the process. I mean, to be honest, the taste of matcha is pretty good, but it's only good when I make it, so I only make it at home, to be honest. I'm sure there are good ones, just not where I live. I had a really good one once in Seattle, but that's actually the only time I've ever liked it out. Even the one in my hometown, it's a tea house, but their matcha is just, it's not what I like personally. So I just stick to home matcha. Okay, so the first step in what I do is I grab this mug specifically because it's really hot, and I just I'm not sure what this thing is called, a bamboo whisk. I just let it sit in there for I don't know, however long I feel like, and it has to be hot water. Another thing is you need to get one of these controlled hot water heaters because you need to have the temperature at a certain degree to get the best tasting matcha. I personally do 170 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what the most optimal. I know a lot of shops just use cold water, and I know when I worked at my shop and as a barista at my old work, we just use boiling water, but I personally never used the boiling water. That's just what we were told, because I know that the boiling water actually burns the matcha and is really bad for it. So around 170 degrees Fahrenheit is usually what I stick to, but it can be a bit colder. I find it's better to go colder than it is to go hotter, at least for my own personal preference, as burning it tastes really bad. This is the matcha I use. This from Nami. It's from a YouTuber I've been watching for a really long time. I think I started watching her in quarantine. And the reason I actually bought my first ever matcha was because me and this girl connected over watching the same YouTuber, and I bought her product because she just came out with her matcha brand. And I never actually ended up being able to give it to her because just things misaligned and the matcha didn't get here in time before she left for vacation. So I ended up using it, and I ended up really liking the process, and that's how I started drinking matcha, I guess. My entire life I've really liked teas. I really liked every milk tea. I like making milk tea. I actually go to the Saturday market, and there's this lady there that sells a whole bunch of different teas, and we usually just talk about teas. And currently I've been really into oolong milk tea, and it's really fun to make. And I just also, I stack up on those Trader Joe's teas as well, because it's just me and my mom have been doing ever since I've grown up. It's just reading our book or just watching a movie on the couch while drinking our hot tea at night. That's just something I grew up with doing. So I mean, I don't think liking matcha is that far off from this, but I've seen that on the internet it is considered something as an activity used to get girls, which I mean, in a way, that's sort of why I started drinking matcha, although we never ended up talking or anything past that. Okay, so for the matcha, I use this green bowl. I think it could be any bowl. I know that you're supposed to use something called a chaewan, which is a certain type of bowl, but I don't want to pay those crazy prices. I want to go to a ceramic cafe and sort of make my own, but I don't have any near me. I know there's one where I go to college though. I personally use 2 teaspoons of matcha, but on the second teaspoon I use like a little bit less, because this is the reason why I haven't been drinking as much, like maybe like once a week, is just because the prices are kind of crazy. Like this one matcha is costing me about $3, which I know this matcha specifically is more expensive, which is why I'm going to Japan soon and I will be buying tea there for a lot cheaper, but I'll also be getting lots of other teas. So I just did it completely wrong. This is what happens when you film on camera. You're actually supposed to put this thing over it. It's like a sifter outside, so I don't make it outside, but my brother's currently watching a movie, so I don't want to be rude. He's currently watching all the Studio Ghibli movies, and since I'm going to the Studio Ghibli Museum in Japan, I will be buying him some souvenirs. Actually making that mistake a lot when I first started making matcha lattes, was I was not using enough matcha, and I was ending up like, why is this basically just tasting like milk with like a slight like aftertaste? So I think it's better to just use the extra matcha so you actually get the perfect matcha latte. Oh, I forgot my scale. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Okay, so I know that you're supposed to use around 3 grams of matcha for a latte, or anywhere from 2 to 4, I would say, but I don't have a scale that's like, it can measure that precise, so I just use this scale for the water. Anyway, I'll just use about 1.5 to 2 fluid ounces, and then I'll stir it as much as possible, and then I'll add more water later. And you need to soak the bamboo whisk. Also, it's important. This is maybe also why I like it, because you can sort of be autistic about it and like experiment a lot with different like techniques and methods. You need to make sure that you're zigzagging the whisk in like a Z motion, not a Z motion. I guess sort of can be a Z motion. I thought of it more as, I think I learned it as an M, but just sort of back and forth. You don't want to do it in a motion that is like circle, which is, I see a lot of people at my work do, and I don't correct them, but I think about it. Okay, yeah, this color is looking gorge. Oh my god, that color is just, wow, that is amazing. So we're at around 1.5 fluid ounces, and honestly the color looks so good, I don't really want to add any more. Oh my god, I forgot. Okay, I'm gonna go back and get some milk and ice. Alright. Oh, another really cool thing about matcha is just there's so many like different variations. The milk that I personally use is the really low fat milk from Fairlife. I find it's like the least creamy, but because it has the least amount of fat, but it makes it so you can taste the matcha to a higher extent, in my opinion. Okay, so what you first want to do is you want to fill up your cup. I personally fill it up with as much ice as possible. Honestly, I don't really need to use this scale. I don't really use it as much anymore, but for the first like 3 months I was using it every time, because I wanted to make sure, like, I wanted to sort of experiment. Why did it turn off? The birds are chirping. And then the best part, the part that you probably see on the TikTok, stop, is the pour. And this is kind of why you want a J1, is because it also sometimes it does drip on the bowl, as you can see right there. Yeah, that's strong. Okay, and then I normally just, to get the rest of it out, I just add a little bit more water. And that's pretty dang good. I got most of it out. And then you can sort of just, this is the part that, oh my god, the ice is kind of like, yeah, I'm not the most aesthetic at this. I don't really care, I just drink it. And then you can add sweetener. I personally don't anymore. Sometimes I'll add like a sugar-free vanilla, but I found that like, bro, that is so okay. I found that, dang, I made that really well today. It tastes like the one I had in Seattle, which is a good sign because they're like I don't remember what they're called, but they're from Japan. They're a chain store in Japan of matcha. I think what it tastes like. I don't even know what it tastes. It almost has sort of an umami. There's definitely bitterness there, but I like bitterness as someone who loves black coffee as well. Oh my god, this beat. Dark. Oh, yeah, that looks really good. Dark experiment. Yesterday I made like a oolong milk tea, and I didn't think that this had enough like creaminess, so I added actually a little bit of half and half from my mom because she uses this for her coffee, and I thought it made it taste like, it made the tea also taste better, so I wanted to add just like a very small amount of half and half. And that's kind of the cool part about matcha is you can just experiment. I've tried like 8 different milks, 4 different sweeteners, and just different amounts of like ratios of matcha to like ice and milk. Okay, it didn't really add anything. I'm not gonna use from it. Like growing up, my family was really big into milk, but like my mom wasn't, or I wasn't really. And every time I would drink milk, I thought there was like gonna be like a scorpion in the milk because we lived in like Arizona, and for some reason I would always picture like drinking a scorpion while I drank milk, and then I never drank milk because of that. Luckily I don't have those irrational fears anymore. But what does it even mean to be performative? Everything we do in a way a performative thing. Like everything that we do is a way in which we use to try to connect with others. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, and I don't really understand why it is being something that is shamed on the internet. Especially something as simple as just like a drink. We're shaming guys for making a drink. And same thing with like reading. It's just something that I've always done. It's never been something that I've used. And I'm not gonna lie, I've fallen victim to this trap. Like I've felt the shame from drinking a matcha or reading a book. Like I don't read in public because I'm scared that people are gonna think I'm reading for a performative reason. I only read in my dorm room for all of college. Or when I would read in the library, I would purposely go to like one of those like corners of the library that like nobody could see me. I didn't want anyone to see me, which is my own problem. I realized that, but I wish it weren't like that, because shaming someone for reading and trying to learn is just embarrassing as a society. Even if they are doing it for reasons that are ulterior motives other than learning, they're still learning at the end of the day, and they're still reading, and they're off their phone, off social media. I would like to play devil's advocate a little bit, because I know there are definitely guys that drink matchas or read books to get girls, and I have seen that. Can we just try to unpack maybe why that's even a bad thing? Like in our society today, we've increasingly become more disconnected as like with social media. We found it to be very difficult to connect with other people. And maybe these people that are like trying out girls' hobbies per se, which I don't even understand why we consider reading and drinking matcha to be girls' hobbies. Maybe they're doing it as just a way to try to connect with girls, because they find it difficult to talk to them. It's a disrespectful manner at all. Maybe some girls may see it as manipulative, but maybe they're just trying to understand you a bit better. And maybe it's just me, but I don't see a problem with that. I see that as more as an emotional, mature thing to do, to just try to understand why you have these hobbies and understand you as a person. I want to talk. I see these books. I recently read The Bell Jar 2 months ago, but I read this one like 2 years ago because of that. This YouTuber like recommended it, the same one that I got the matcha from. And I'm like, I'll read it. Plus my mom really likes these type of books, and she's always trying to get me to read these type of books, but like she's always trying to get me to read like not these type of books. Obviously I didn't know what it was about before I read it, but like book talks. I'm not really on TikTok or anything, but my mom is obsessed, so she's always trying to get me to read. I'm currently, after I finish this book, I'm going to start on The Great Alone, because that's my mom's like favorite book ever. And I've also seen it on like these YouTubers. I watch a lot of book YouTubers. I think his name is Jack Edwards, and he really recommends The Great Alone. So yeah, I actually yeah, this one was a bit different, really well written. Like I read it in a day, but obviously some of the topics in this book are a bit it can get a bit like raunchy at times, which I've never read a book like that personally. I mean, I've read books with raunch in it, but this is very, at certain points, very raunchy. But I thought the message and the story overall was very beautiful. I liked the idea that even if you don't end up with that person, and you guys don't end up in the end with that you don't end up with that person, there's still like things to be learned from that person, and you've grown so much because of that relationship that it was not a waste of time. It wasn't like something that you should be mad at, because that person ended up changing you and allowing you to grow to become the person you are today. Like in his case, he goes to New York. I think New York. I read this a while ago. He goes to New York to become a writer, which is what he always wanted to do. But if he had never met Marianne, he would have never grown to be that person that wants to be a writer. He would have gone to law school or something. And even though Marianne and Connell don't end up together in the end, it was a successful relationship in the fact that they are both now better people, and they've both grown as people. But yeah, it's a very heartbreaking book, and there is a show. I watched it after I read the book.
Good morning.
Hi, Grandpa. I read The Bell Jar about 2 months ago. I've recently just been really into like classics. I've probably read like 12 no, not 12. I think 10 classics this year, and this was just on my list. I grew up watching the show 10 Things I Hate About You. Not the show, the movie. It was one of my favorite rom-coms just because I really liked Heath Ledger, and I really liked the girl Kat. And in one of the scenes, she was reading this book on a chair. I remembered vividly from just growing up watching that movie, and I always wanted to read the book since then. And then I also knew that it's just a very good book. To be honest, I didn't relate as much to her as I did for like other classics that I've read, but I still think this is a very powerful novel and everyone should read it. It just personally I didn't connect with it as much. I think this was supposed to connect with women as well more, which is also maybe why I didn't connect with it as much. But I understand her feelings and just like the pressures of society to be a certain person, and pressures of society forcing you to go down a path that you don't. And there's also just so many paths. Like I remember after reading it thinking it was amazingly written, and I went into like a whole like research dive of Sylvia Plath, and her story is honestly very heartbreaking. But yes, there's certain lessons as well that just didn't really stick with this book as much for me. Maybe I'm pretty sure I just have to reread it, because I honestly don't remember too much from this book. I also did want to like bring up a little bit, like, to be a devil's advocate. I mean, girls should be wary of guys that are using like certain activities or even music taste to like manipulate them, I guess. I'm sure there are guys out there, but I don't think what's been going on around like social media is a very generalization that every guy that does these things is instantly just trying to sleep with them. Just very far from the case. Like sometimes maybe a guy just wants to connect with you and talk to you about your interests, so he learns your interests. Maybe I misunderstand. I'm probably misinterpreting. My friends always like make fun of me. Not make fun of me in like a harsh way, but like, oh, you're so performative and all this stuff, because I want to talk to people about my interests because I'm very interested in books and I like tea. But I find it hard to connect with other people about it because the amount of hate that is spread on the internet about like performative activities, it scares me away from even trying. And I don't think shame can always be a bad thing, but I think we have to be careful about what we are using it for. I think the activity of just reading a book is something so important to living like good life and learning how to live, like learning about life. And there's just so much that you can learn from reading, and I wish people would pick up books more often, and I wish it wasn't something that was seen as a pretentious, like pseudo-intellectual activity that only smart people can understand, because I'm personally not very smart, but I still enjoy reading. So, and I think you would too if you tried it out. And I think it's greatly beneficial not only to your mental health and your attention span. It is decreased my anxiety tremendously, but that I think that might honestly just be because I've replaced my screen time or my time on Instagram with reading. I would have never found that if I had never read. It's also just there's something about books that are just like, you can find that you relate to people and their experiences in life, and you can sort of learn from them in a way, like, and you just learn lessons about life without actually having to make the mistake. I need to make this video first, not to advocate for why I read or anything, but just because I've never read in public. In high school, I used to like only read in my room, or during lunch I would read in my car. I was very against social media, so I remember like during class I would just sit there in silence and just think a lot. Like if we had any downtime, which at my school we had a lot of downtime, I would just sit there because I was too scared to read in public. And that's obviously just a very high school like insecurity thing, but I think that was only worsened by the fact that I think you can be shamed a little bit for reading. I'll be honest, I do want to be seen as smart. That's not the reason really, and maybe that is part of the reason why I read, is because I want to be smarter. I'm just a very naturally curious person. I want to know more. But the fact that that's shamed is just so sad to me. Like the fact that I am scared to come out and say that I want to be smarter, like I want to learn more, because I don't want to be seen as pretentious is just where has our society taken us. So yeah, I just want to make this video. I'm trying to get over this fear that I have of like sharing myself, if that makes sense, or being vulnerable, because I've always had a very difficult time sharing myself. Which Mason's thoughts on just basically what I think about at night. I hope you all have an amazing day and just love each other more, because like that's really all that matters. Have a good day.
Oh, also, by the way, the one bad part about making matcha is, okay, I stained my dorm desk so bad for making matchas in there. Bro, I literally don't know how to make this. I don't know how to make matcha without making an absolute just mess everywhere. I don't know if anyone else has the same problem, but yeah.